willkommen zurück zu Stanley Parable. Ein Spiel, was mich sehr verwirrt. Aber egal, wir machen weiter, nachdem wir jetzt, keine Ahnung, letzte Folge schon 3-mal gegen den Narrator aufgestellt haben und schon 2-mal gestorben sind. Ja, geht's weiter, Soeren ist natürlich auch wieder dabei.
Yes.
Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
Ich hab's einfach nicht gemacht.
Ich wollte gerade sagen, also der ist ja nicht... Also...
Never the end. Okay, ja, da sind wir wieder im Start.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to
Jetzt würde mich interessieren, was passiert, wenn er das zweite Mal machen würde, wenn ich rechts lang gehe statt links. Aber nee, wir wollen immer auch mal das Richtige sehen. Machen wir es mal nochmal weiter. Wie es gewollt hat.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ich merke mir aber, dass wir noch einmal ausprobieren werden, mit dem normalen Aufzug zu fahren. Und das mache ich jetzt nicht gleich im Anschluss, weil wir haben jetzt schon alles andere gemacht. Machen erstmal alles, was ich...
Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Stark, es ist zu... weil ich nicht mehr rein soll.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Das ist ja nichts zu Bade, was sie mir gesagt hat, wenn ich da reingehe. Erzähle. Oh, ist hier was anderes?
Es ist zu extrem.
I've got the feeling money's for stealing, but not yours, of course. That's the... but... Lovely purse.
Ja. Weißt du noch die Zahl?
Nein. Doch, ich hab's aufgeschrieben. 2845. Oh.
Auch nur so.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few minutes with some calming New Age music.
Na, fühlt sich beruhigt.
Auf jeden Fall.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Man merkt ja an hier und da, aber trotzdem noch nicht so aus Ursprünge. Aber jetzt halt so was Half-Life-Mottiges an sich hat.
Ja, diese ganzen Assets der 3Ds, die Button-Sounds, das ist schon ikonisch, muss man einfach mal sagen. Da haben sie Soren's Engine, haben sie schon was erschaffen, was in Erinnerung bleibt.
Das hat wahrscheinlich auch als Mod angefangen gehabt, ne? Stanley Parable.
Vermutlich, oder ich weiß es gar nicht,
Stanley
aber...
walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Probieren wir mal. Ah, geradeaus. Er hat nicht gesagt, ich muss drücken. Da muss er schon genau sein. Na gut.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Fancy. Diese Geräusche.
Es ist die 2.
Ich glaube, hier ist eine Tür, ist zu dunkel, ich sehe es nicht, aber... Okay.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though. This version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button. Or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me.
Er kennt dich ziemlich gut bisher, ne?
This video game can be beaten. One solved.
Ich verstehe es auch ehrlich gesagt nicht. 5 und grün, aber ich kann nur die grün drücken, da steht incorrect da.
Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't.
4-2 ist er.
Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever up.
Keine Ahnung, was ich hätte machen sollen. Viel zu viele Knöpfe.
Er klang nicht so, als konntest du was machen oder halt der Bock, dass du was machen kannst. Der ist einer.
Ich glaube, er wollte mich einfach, aber vorführen. Also.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Gut, jetzt mach ich jetzt mal aus diesmal.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ich glaube, da gibt's Spieler schon ganz, ganz viele. Also ich habe so ein paar entdeckt, aber ich glaube, es gibt wahrscheinlich eine Menge noch mehr, was es auch passieren kann, wenn man so anders machen kann.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ich lasse jetzt auch mal wieder aussprechen und tu mal nicht die Jazz-Age-Musik. Verstanden?
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah.
So.
Secrets, the keypad, Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Kill surprise.
Mir gefällt mir das Spiel arbeitet.
Doch nicht.
Ja. Schon sehr kreativ jetzt schon, muss ich sagen. Als ich meine Studie gespielt habe. Da kenne ich jetzt schon Kreativität an, wenn ich das sehe.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Aber das wird halt programmiertechnisch auch richtig tricky gewesen sein. Jede Art, diese Fahrt, wie ob die Spieler da vorbeikommen, wenn er was sagt.
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Mal schauen. Okay, also 1 bis 5 würde ich jetzt wissen, wo die sind. Theoretisch.
Erstmal, welchen der 2 drückst du?
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation.
Kann ich ausreden lassen.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Okay, ich werde aufgehört, ich kann nicht weiterlaufen. Jetzt vorwärts.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Never the end, never the end, never the end. Ja, okay. Das war
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken. No, the orders were still missing. For now.
Jetzt seine Erzählweise geändert. Interessant. Das Spiel ist so crazy, ey. So, auf jeden Fall ist es Freiheit-Ding anscheinend, was wir gerade hatten.
For 20.
Oh. Waiting Input received.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Alles crazy hier.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if them... Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Oh mein Gott, man kann springen. Es ist
Wow, das hat sich
Das-
ja richtig gelohnt.
Erlebnis.
Ein feuchter Traum für jeden gierigen Spielentwickler. Ja.
No. Enttäuscht.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness.
Anderer Teil des Spiels ist das Ultra Deluxe Ding.
I have to say, the initial impressions of this game are not positive.
Meterwitze. Ich hab schon geschaut, was sie hier gerade machen.
Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary.
Das ist
There's
halt 10
20
Jahre
hours of
später
new
passend
content right there.
geändert.
Hell, I could counter 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content.
What
And
laminate?
Oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see.
Guck, er tut nämlich...
I'm ready for
Die
what...
möbeln hier gerade die Gaming-Community im Jahr 2022. Sehr gut. So, 5 Sekunden, das Spiel ist so nichts extra rein, passiert wie lame, weißt du? Ist auch gut.
That's it? You've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended.
Oh, man könnte jetzt
I intend to
nachgucken,
fling
Tobi.
these people
Gibt's
on the
wirklich.
list and
Das
hold
gibt's
them
wirklich, ja.
personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Und wechsel mal. Ja. Wieder was anderes. Hä?
Psst! Stanley! Come over here! In the vent! I want to show you something!
Oh nein, er wendet. Das war auch die Zeit. Sass, lol.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the
Deluxe Content
could be. So I made
Kunde
something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
Alter.
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Bei den Narrator 2013. I remember. Pen Game Festival.
Diese Verpackung ist auch so typisch, wenn man irgendwie früher mal im Mediamarkt gegangen ist, irgendein random Antivir angeboten wurde.
Ja.
Oder irgendeine random Software, die es eigentlich runterladbar gibt, aber für ältere Leute dann auf eine CD gepackt wurden, weil sie sonst nicht wussten, wie es geht oder so. Oh.
Stanley Parable Demonstration. So. Don't play for 5 years. Gibt's auch jemand.
Mhm. Habe ich bekommen. Ich habe aber mit der Windows-Spiel getrickst wie alle Lappen.
Creator surprisingly down to earth. Das ist der tote Stanley, kennt jetzt auch schon.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism. 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
So how do you reload Aufgenommen known? Full-scale remation of one of the most mods available online. How you discuss it, analyze it, recommend it? It's quite simple. You don't.
Ja, da haben wir die Türen und First of the Years.
Die beiden Einzelcharaktere, die es gibt.
Die On-Off-Button. Dinge, die du noch nicht kennst. Der Countdown. Den kennst du. Die Sachen aus dem Vorraum, die kennst du auch.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone. to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Ja, und bei manchen holt man sie raus und dann weint man, weil die gar nicht mal so geil waren. Oder beziehungsweise mittlerweile einfach eingestaubt sind. Und dann merkt man, dass das wehtut. Wenn Erinnerungen doch nicht so gut sind, wie sie, oder Sachen aus der Vergangenheit doch nicht so gut sind. Ist ja auch oft bei Filmen oder so. Wobei es ja auch einfach an uns liegt. Zum Beispiel die alten Star Wars Teile. Ich liebe sie, weil ich so viel positive Erinnerungen habe, weil ich habe sie mit meinen Eltern geguckt oder große Geschwister. Aber die sind schon ziemlich langsam in der Erzählweise, ne? Und wenn man heutzutage Filme hat oder Videos sind immer pam, 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 pam. Oh! Das Meme müsstest du auch kennen, oder Tobi? Snake Routine, the Snake Oil Man Sales Routine.
Sag mir was, aber...
Vielleicht kriegen wir es noch.
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again.
Wir kommen nicht weiter. Wir kommen nicht in Zero's Room. Zähler, mach was.
Geh nochmal nach links. Du kannst ja immer noch woanders lang gehen.
Ah.
Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam.
Oh no!
Online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't
Oh,
they?
jetzt kommen negative. Ja, jetzt geht's los. Jetzt tun sie aufräumen.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Unfunny.
Okay, let's see what this one says.
Nudel
Well,
scharf.
the idea for the game is good. For someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did, but maybe it wasn't. Dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure, like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Der Arme. Jetzt hast du ihn in der Existenzkrise gespielt.
You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and... Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story, and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time, everything all at once, so, now you see, blah, 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. Got the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say... The story, and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end...
Ciao.
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly, and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are, or were, or will be at the time of having made said choice. That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already made, you bring that choice into being, then by making no choice and saying nothing, are you not simply erecting in the sanctuary of time a monument to every person you've ever been, making every choice to which you've ever given your great gift of mortal and yet timeless thought? Or rather, do all of the choices you've ever made, in fact, make you more not this kind of person, and in fact do the very opposite? You see, it could in fact be both of these things at once. That you are both making choices and not making choices, and that they are both affecting you and not... Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit one's review, merely because of this very situation. Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review, so that the feature is not widely abused. Look, I would even be okay with Steam altering this particular review so that it reads as something more beneficial. Something along the lines of, this game is the best game. Let me start over. How about this? From the ashes of depravity rises the... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes. It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait, how do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room?
Yeah, that's correct.
I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. All I want is for us to move on and to please step away from the skip button, to go anywhere other than the skip button.
Ich echt, wie viel Text die aufgenommen haben.
Wasn't there? I swear there
Wenn man hier nicht drückt.
Where did it go? Can you maybe just ram your way through a wall? Is there any possibility that you could, say, slam your body into the wall until enough damage is done for you to be able to leave? Please, I'll take any option at all.
Jo.
I'm asking... Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times. And there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button. And if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here. And more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it. And I have to believe. I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I play with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you?
Weil es nicht weitergeht.
I've been thinking, and I don't know what I can do to convince you otherwise. Oh my God. And it's all because of those reviews. Those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the
jetzt auf das
problem?
Kommentar,
Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much to me? I've never even met Cookie Nine.
auf Cookies
I have
9
no idea
eingehen.
who they are. What would it ever really matter? But here I am. I'm fixating on every tiny negative thing that anyone ever says about me. The mirror... Stanley, you're back. Oh my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe, Stanley, maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real. Maybe I'm not just a fiction.
Erzähler.
Was I scared of that all along? Perhaps, yes. Perhaps I've been scared this whole time, that if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by it, Stanley. I can't lose myself in the stretch of emptiness between you and me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away. And in those moments, the emptiness... Oh, hello, it's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest times.
Nächste Tirade.
Days, months.
Okay, but bitte.
The deepest longing to undo the past. And
Ich weiß ja ganz nicht, was da ganz geht, aber... Ah, jetzt ist er... Es ist Stille. Ist er weg.
Weg.
Kommt trotzdem nicht hier raus.
Mhm. Ja, dann nochmal drücken. Einfach raus hier. Hilfe.
Feueralarm.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be fun. It was to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the
Ich
jokes?
mag
Where are
einfach
the
die
jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of
Wie einfach vor sich selber herbrabbelt und einfach gar nicht mehr interessiert, ob wir zuhören oder nicht.
So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley Parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason?
Ist schon was geändert, ne? Ist aber dieselbe Spanplatte. Es tropft jetzt irgendwo.
The end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the
Er ist
end,
einfach verrückt geworden.
the end, is never the end,
Weil ich auch verstehen kann.
end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never.
Er muss ja mehrere Jahre jetzt mittlerweile da alleine gewesen sein, wenn sich das alles so addiert.
Geht doch schon nicht mehr. Oh, jetzt tropft es.
Ja, jetzt wird das Spiel zu Fallout, jetzt zerbricht alles und
Ja, das war's mit der schönen Wand.
ja, war schon eine schöne Decke und Wand.
Oh mein Gott. Da oben ist die Freiheit, Stanley.
Die Natur. Hat auch genug.
Jetzt ist Endtimes.
Ja.
Noch Staub übrig. Oh.
Nein, der Skip-Button ist kaputt.
Ja.
Ja, also das ist also.
Du.
Also du hast anscheinend einen Ort erreicht, den nicht viele Menschen erreicht haben werden. Tut. Vor allen Dingen hat es jetzt auf Ewigkeiten Sand in der Hose und in den Socken. Weil das ist, was Sand am besten kann.
Na. Und der Narrator ist still. It's never the end, it's never the end, it's never the end. Und da sind wir wieder.
How long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time from now on.
Gut, wir gucken nächste Folge mal weiter. Vielleicht können wir noch ein bisschen was aus dem Spiel rauskitzeln. Mal schauen, was es hier noch so gibt. Ein Secrets, ich würde sagen, bis zum nächsten Mal. Ciao, ciao.